again.
Welcome back to the Reverbium podcast. This time Sean's not sorting out his camera. He is here.
I've sorted it already. It's a miracle.
My name's Jimmy.
I'm prepared.
And
I'm
yeah,
Sean.
yeah, that kid.
Couldn't guess.
If you couldn't guess.
Wow.
And welcome back to the podcast. Like I said, we're continuing on as normal. Nothing crazy, no big crazy changes to the podcast format this week. Yeah, we'll start off, I think, by saying that we're going to talk about Pokémon again as the big topic. Our apologies, but there is stuff to talk about. This time, there is actual news.
Just speculation.
Exactly. So we shall start off with, I think, a bit of movie news. I've got some movie news. I don't know if you have any as well, movie, TV, but there is...
not really.
There is
reportedly
there is reportedly a new Superman reboot in the works. No confirmation whether it will feature Henry Cavill at all, or if it's a brand new Superman. But there have been rumors it will be a black Superman, which is interesting. I hope they don't.
I can't wait for the races to come out. Jesus.
I was about to be right now. I'm not about to be. I was about to say, I hope they do the story of there is actually a black Superman. Well, there's multiple. There's Steel, who there was a movie about before, played by Shaquille O'Neal back in the day. What a classic. It's a terrible movie. And there's also an actual comic book Superman called, I think his name's Calvin Ellis, who's from a different universe, who would make more sense. I hope they do that instead of changing Clark Kent, because if they change Clark Kent, they're doing it on purpose just to rile people up, and it's stupid. I'm firmly in the camp of don't change characters, just make new characters. Like, these people don't, these like racists or whatever, like a lot of the time are just doing it to be racist, you know.
I like how we're like 2 minutes into this already
in a racist rant. But my point is very much Clark Kent is Clark Kent. If he's white, he's white. Like T'Challa from
at the end of the day,
Black Panther is
fictional
black.
Characters.
He's black, whatever. He's fictional. But I also stand on the side of, you should, if you want to create a black character, don't replace an already existing character. Make a new character so that character can build on the history. You don't want the history to be, he was a white guy, now he's a black guy. He's not Michael Jackson, you know, the other way around, obviously. But, you know,
oh no,
we're getting cancelled for this podcast.
Why did you start with this?
Because we're doing gaming last. We're doing gaming last, so we have to... It's a fair point. I think characters should be built on history. So you should use a character or build a new character to do that, and I hope they do that for that. I've got no problem with a new Superman movie. Michael B. Jordan is, if they're doing a Superman movie, a black Superman movie, he put his hat in the ring a few years ago, and apparently his name's been going around for this as well, which would be interesting. Be very interesting. It will be written by, I'm going to really mess up his name, but Ta-Nehisi Coates, I think his name is, and will be produced
We'll go with it.
Will be produced by J.J. Abrams' production company, Bad Robot, I'm pretty sure it's called. But there's no other news from that. I'm really sorry for the opening rant, but I just thought, you know, relevant. It's fun.
I just realised something.
What?
I just realised something quite funny. You know, you're like, oh, I don't know if you've got any any film or TV news.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh no, I can't think of anything. Literally have the Golden Globes to talk about. I'd forgotten already. We literally spoke about it a couple of minutes ago.
Yeah.
Already forgot.
Well, guess what, Sean? We're moving on to the Golden Globes.
Whoa!
Woo.
Yes. As Jimmy didn't realise, before we started this, the Golden Globes were this week. So
I did. I
thankfully
just
remembered.
forgot. I just forgot. I didn't have it.
It
on
would
my
have been
list.
a bit embarrassing, to be honest, if, as entertainment news, we completely missed out the Golden Globes. But yeah, just run through the winners basically. So, best motion picture for a drama was Nomadland, which I'm pretty sure I saw was coming to Netflix soon, or they are lining up that it might. So yeah, best picture was that. Best actress in a drama was Andra Day for the United States versus Billie Holiday.
God, the movies
Best
this year.
actor.
The movies this year,
Yeah,
like,
okay.
they're just so obscure, aren't they? I'm not saying like there's a lot of movies out there, but half
But
of
I
these
find that a
just...
lot with these award shows. Like when the Oscar nominations comes out, I'm always like, okay, I haven't heard of most of
It's
these.
been a weird year though. It's been even weirder. So
Oh yeah,
you don't have a lot of like
because
the
so
big
few
movie. Yeah.
come out because they've been delayed. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Anyway, actor for a drama was Chadwick Boseman in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. We have best motion. This category I find really weird because best motion picture, musical or comedy. So I think they can be two very different things. I wouldn't have put them together.
Can, but a lot of musicals nowadays are comedies. You don't
Are
get
comedies, yeah.
And I think they just like there's not enough musicals going around that they can have their own category, I guess.
True. Right, Borat won that. Somehow
the lovely musical
Borat beat Hamilton.
that's. I think it's because. Comedy. Wait, no, Hamilton.
Hamilton.
No, if
Hamilton
it was
is just
nominated.
because they put the stage show onto Disney Plus, didn't they?
Yeah, I was
That's
about
what
to
the
say.
film is. I'm assuming
maybe didn't get voted because it was like it's a few.
It's just a recording
now.
of the stage show. Yeah, but yeah, Borat won that.
I still haven't seen it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Neither have I. Best actress in musical or comedy was Rosamund Pike in I Care a Lot.
I like her.
Then actor musical comedy is Sacha Baron Cohen in Borat. Somehow beat Lin-Manuel Miranda. Really don't know how.
I haven't seen Hamilton either.
Also beat Andy Samberg in Palm Springs. Disney Plus.
I want to watch Hamilton live. I want to go and see it one day. If they still run it by the time COVID ends.
You're gonna be waiting a while for that then. Yeah. Anyway, best supporting actress in any motion picture was Jodie Foster in The Mauritanian, and then best supporting actor was Daniel Kaluuya in Judas and the Black Messiah. I believe there were some issues with him in his acceptance speech. I didn't look too much into it, but I think it was like the first one they gave out, and there's technical issues. It was quite funny. Best director is Chloe Zhao for Nomadland. Sorry if I butchered her name. Apologies. And best screenplay for motion picture was Aaron Sorkin for The Trial of the Chicago 7. It's funny looking through these nominations. I think there's probably only been about 8 different films that have been nominated, either for the actors and actresses and the films themselves. There's not a wide scope for what was nominated. But yeah,
I genuinely haven't heard of most of those movies, which I haven't been keeping up with movies this year. You know, COVID's. Yeah, but I have heard of. I think The Trial of the Chicago 7.
Chicago 7. Yeah, that's the main one that stood out to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I only really heard about Nomadland because of this, and then about the whole thing like Netflix afterwards. And obviously Borat because all the stuff around the election with that as well, and obviously Hamilton just because it's one of the biggest musicals there is.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, so if you didn't see the Golden Globes, those are your winners.
That's all for our movies and TV, I think. Sport. That's the next. Oh, you have to move music as well, don't you? Should we throw that in there?
Yeah, I have music from the music first. Yeah, okay. It's just that Kings of Leon are coming out. They're releasing an NFT album. For those that don't know, it's a form of crypto. It's a non-fungible token, what it stands for. Basically, it means that the album will be sold on blockchain technology, which basically means it's open to everyone. You can see every transaction. It's what cryptocurrencies are on. it's quite interesting. They've actually followed some other artists have already done this. So Shawn Mendes, Grimes, and Mike Shinoda had already done this. But obviously, I just feel like Kings of Leon are just a bit bigger. So especially for UK, this is the one that will probably stand out more to UK people and actually be in the news over here. So it's going to be sold for $50, which obviously for an album seems like a lot. But I think it's partly probably a premium because of this technology that is not really something widely out there. But you also do get a whole host of other things. So you get this. I believe you get a vinyl with it as well. You get I think there's 3 different types of tokens, if I read correctly, and one of them does actually give you front row seats for life to their concerts. So that's quite. So if you're a big fan of Kings of Leon, that obviously could pull you in. And the great thing about this, with it being on the blockchain technology and what they're doing with it, is it goes on sale as of today. We're recording tomorrow, but when it comes out today on the Friday, and it's being sold for 2 weeks. Once that 2 weeks is up, they are selling no more, which means that if you do buy it, it should only ever go up in value because no more will ever be made. So once the once 2 weeks is done, however many albums or these tokens have been sold for the album, that's how many there are. And for anyone that cares, it's been developed by Yellowheart. I'd never heard of them before, if I'm honest, but quite interesting. So I'd be interested to see how many more artists actually go for this in the future and what they do with it. Because obviously, with like blockchain technology and cryptos, the main thing is Bitcoin that people know about. Which, even though it seems like year after year keep hearing about it, it's still relatively new. There are still a lot of smaller developers working on blockchain technology of a whole host of different things. So I think going forward it'll be really interesting to see what other artists do and where it goes forward. Which is what I then want to bring up, is that in my mind, if you think about this, is that if you're buying this album on the blockchain, and then you can sell it, and because it's a tradable commodity afterwards, effectively. On this, you can trade it with somebody else. That is this then a modern solution for pre-owned video games? Yeah. Because if obviously this has been a huge, I say it's been huge. It's been something that people have spoken about because obviously with we've seen it in like the movie industry with places like Blockbuster going bust because people don't buy physical DVDs anymore. Everything's online, and obviously video games are going that way. PlayStation have their digital only version of the PS5, and just it's a lot easier to download your games and keep them on your console. But it also means that the trading in and the second-hand game process is dying, because you're not able to give your digital version to somebody else. But if they were to be sold in this way, basically game developers could turn and go, okay, we'll sell so many of that, we'll put this on sale for a year. Once the year's up, because most companies run on a yearly basis for their games, or a lot of the major ones do, they go, okay, that's it. Once a year's done, we're not selling any more. For a copy of a game to somebody else. Obviously, I wouldn't know if that's definitely capable. I don't know exactly the ins and outs of how this blockchain technology works, if that's a possible thing. But I was thinking, if this is happening, then this could be a solution to your pre-owned games. The only issue I then thought with that is that usually your pre-owned games are a lot cheaper. This could make pre-owned games much more expensive, because I don't know, actually. They could and they couldn't, because obviously no more would be made. But if you think of most pre-owned games now, they stopped making them. There's very few. If you were to go into, say, Game, you wouldn't find many copies of GTA 5 on the shelves. So I just thought it was quite interesting that something like this could then lead to...
While you were midway through talking there, we had technical issues on your camera. and
Okay.
it like you got everything out, so I'm not going to edit out. I thought it was pretty funny, but you were
Yeah.
talking and it sped up for a bit, and
Okay.
it
That's
was
fine.
still audible. Your camera blacked out for a second, but came back, and it was just funny. I laughed during it. This is fine
Okay.
with me.
I could see you looking and like smiling a bit. I was like, I don't
I
know what's
was
going
like, for
on. I don't
God's
really know why.
sake. No, I was kind of like, do I stop him? Do I stop him? But then I was like, nah, just leave it in.
It's fine. No one wants to see my face anyway, so
But
it's cool.
anyway, like this is when you told me about this before we did the podcast, because I didn't hear anything about it. I thought it was a really interesting concept. Not the Kings of Leon part. That was a precursor
Well,
to
that
this.
itself is. I
Yeah,
think.
it's interesting, but
Like,
I'm saying
obviously,
like
if you're
what
interested,
it could do, what it could lead
yeah.
to. Yeah.
Obviously, that's just this technology in general. It doesn't have to be in a certain like to do with just like video games or music, because one of the main things with it are these smart contracts where basically you put a certain parameters into this contract, and as soon as they're fulfilled, you get paid. So, like, this is without sounding like one of your typical crypto people, this is the future, but it's going to stick around.
It's all right,
yeah,
Sean.
it is
You can talk.
interesting to see.
You can talk about whatever you want. I just went on a racist rant before, so I did. I'm kidding.
True.
I'm kidding.
But yeah, so it's just interesting to see how like this sort of thing will develop going forward with the Kings of Leon situation of what other artists will do, what they come up with. I should imagine there'll be a lot of people probably making gimmicky versions of this, of charging a ridiculous amount of money for something very minimal, of like a poster of just some artwork or something like that. I can definitely see that happening. But also there's probably others that do something quite out there with it that is really smart and almost revolutionary. So it'd be interesting to see how it goes. Before we move on, I did tell Jim I was going to do this, and I'm going to send it to him. If there is anybody out there who is interested in crypto or want to get into crypto and they don't already use Binance, I'll have a referral link for you down in the or if Jimmy puts it in, which he should.
He's a fucking
sellout.
sellout. He's a sellout.
I don't care. It's not sponsored. I don't care. It's just me
I'll
myself.
do it. I'll do it. I'll do it. You don't have to. Yeah. No one's forcing you, people.
Oh, no one's forcing.
But
yeah, don't have to.
If you,
if you're already interested in it and don't use it or want to,
as long as you remind me,
you'll get a bit of a bonus if I ever spend money on there, which is a thing. I'm actively trading on there, so if you want to, it's there. I'm not forcing anyone. This isn't sponsored by anyone. No one's telling me to say this, but it's there. Not entertainment related, but it's there.
And
now we'll move on.
Yeah, I missed something out. It kind of includes a lot of things.
Okay, we're not moving on.
we are moving on from the music and stuff, but
okay.
I already told you about this. San Diego Comic-Con this year has been postponed once again. They are supposedly doing like an in-person thing in November, I've heard, but I don't know how true that is. However, there will be an online-only event between July 23rd and July 25th. So you'll still get like the normal stuff. It's like you never attended in person, like every normal person does, and just watches. So
let's be honest, how many people actually get to go anyway? Like a lot of people go, but in the grand scheme of things, how many people actually go?
And we don't even get to see half the stuff in there because they keep it behind secret halls and stuff. So yeah, this will be happening this year, but not in person. It will be an online event. Last year's was cancelled as well, so although I don't think they did much for last year. I think everyone just did their own thing. It's kind of like E3, although E3 is kind of turned into most of the most of the big names are doing their own conferences anyway. So but yeah, that is that news. So I think it's time for some sport, Sean. I think it's time for some sport. I'll start off because I've got one. I've got one thing. So,
well, I was going to say, did you want me to start so you could inject it in between?
Well, no, because it's sports entertainment, so it should,
Okay.
yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah,
It's. Oh.
yeah, yeah.
If you want to skip ahead by about 2 minutes, feel free.
Well, we don't. We usually don't do weekly wrestling stuff unless it's pay-per-views, but it was a big it was a big thing. So, the Miz is no longer WWE champion. It lasted all of 2 weeks.
Woo!
Everyone's
Get
happy.
in.
The new
Fuck them
champion
is.
is, spoiler alert, Bobby Lashley, which I think is about 15 years too late, but he's doing some really good work, probably the best work he's ever done in his career for WWE. So yeah, that's it. We move.
Thank
That
you.
will appear to our one wrestling viewer. Thank you. And that
Who
one
is
wrestling
yourself?
viewer is me. Yeah.
It's just when you
It's just
when
me.
you look back at the podcast.
Yeah, it's just me. It's me on my
One day.
my 14 fake accounts, or how many views the wrestling podcast gets.
Basically, if you're not Jimmy and you actually pay attention to the wrestling section, please let us know, because I want to know if there's anyone else out there that actually pays attention to it.
There is
Just out of interest.
There is an actual audience on YouTube for it. But
Oh yeah,
I don't
none of them see this.
I don't. To be fair, I don't know who does see this, Sean. So we just add in as much as we can.
Try and cover all bases. Anyway, there's actually been quite a few big things I feel from sport this week. So I'll start with the football one. We'll keep football together first. Big one being that over in China, obviously you wouldn't think this is big news for a start, because apart from spending a lot of money, you don't really hear about the Chinese You don't really hear about the Chinese Super League. But last year's champions, Jiangsu FC, have ceased operations. Basically, the company that owns them, Suning, they've just pulled out. They announced, I think it was 25% of their non-commercial or non-operational investments. They're just pulling, and this is one of them.
And keep in mind that these were the champions. You said, weren't they?
Yeah, they won the Chinese Super League last season,
which is crazy.
They've now just out of nowhere gone. Obviously means their ceased operation means their first team and their women's team just aren't. They're not playing. They're just completely shut down, which obviously means that the Asian version of the Champions League, the teams dropped out there. I believe also last year's Chinese FA Cup winners have also they have pulled out of the competition, or they've also had the same situation where they've kind of just they're not there anymore. So that's quite interesting. And basically, it's come about because obviously you're seeing the headlines a lot. All these players like Hulk, Alex Teixeira, who's one of the people who played for Jiangsu, Oscar, going over to China on these big wage deals where they get paid far more than any Premier League player, but the teams in the league only earn the same revenue which is roughly the same as the Championship. So it's just not sustainable. And obviously, you have these businessmen that are in there who probably most of them don't actually have a root in football of they're actually interested in it. It's just they want to own a team, they want to try and earn money from it, and they can't afford to keep pumping money in. So it might be a problem that we see quite a lot with the Chinese Super League, because they just can't keep up with the wage demands they gave out to try and attract players to the league to try and make it bigger. And the other interesting thing to take from it is that the owners of Jiangsu FC are the same owners as Inter Milan. And I did see earlier that apparently Inter Milan are actually in a bit of trouble at the moment, financial-wise, because of the pandemic. To the point that
Lukaku might be coming back to Manchester United because of that.
Well, I saw that, and also I think it's because of his performances. It's triggered a clause that means they immediately have to pay the money that's still owed for him, which is about £43 million. So the thing that I saw was that apparently Man United have offered them a proposition of we'll ignore the fee if you give us one of your players. And I believe it was, I know Martinez was one of them. I can't remember who the second was, who they said they're going after. But apparently they also still have outstanding fees for Ericsson as well. And one other player who I can't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, so Inter Milan could be in a bit of trouble as well. They've also recently, Pirelli have stopped sponsoring them. I think that was like a 27-year partnership. It's either 21 or 27-year partnership they had together. So they'll need to bring another sponsor as well. So it's not just China that's been affected by this, or the Chinese Super League. This could massively affect Inter Milan as well, as they have a bit of trouble.
It was Skriniar from Milan.
Yeah. So be interesting to see what happens there. Obviously, they're doing really well at the moment in Serie A. I believe they're at the top. They were, they're still top of the table by 4 points.
So if they win, they're definitely getting folded.
So they could go the same way as Chengdu. I don't think they will. They're obviously they're a much more historically rooted team. That
I think the fans would like if they got folded or something. I think the fans would pick up the pieces or something like that.
You wouldn't even need that. At the end of the day, because of the prowess of a team like Inter Milan, somebody would come along and pick them up.
Maybe David Beckham would steal that as well. Who knows?
I don't think it'd be an issue. It might just be a case of you may see a lot of players leaving in the summer from them, just so they can obviously either get the funds to try and keep the players that they've already signed, or just to raise some funds in general. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Sticking with football, and to another European powerhouse, Barcelona were raided earlier this week by police. And let me get all of them here up, because 4 people were arrested, which was Bartomeu. It's Bartomeu, isn't it? That's how you say it. Yeah. The former president. He was arrested along with CEO of the club, Oscar Grau, former advisor to the presidency, Jaume Masferrer, and the head of legal counsel, Roman Gomez Ponti, were all arrested because of this Barca Gate situation, where basically they're under investigation because Bartomeu has apparently hired a like social media management sort of thing, is what I can gather from it, or like a marketing company, where basically he's paid them to make him seem really good and to disparage some of their other older and current players. So ones that were involved were PK, Xavi, and Messi. Basically because over in the summer it's a bit of a shambles over at Barca with the whole Messi contract situation. And so it looks like some illegal stuff has been going on at Barca. They were originally cleared.
Who's surprised? Who's surprised?
Yeah, I believe they were initially cleared in like an initial investigation. But obviously there's something else now that the police have got involved and obviously made several arrests. So I think apparently the payment was inflated up to 6 times higher than the typical market rate.
Fuck. Well,
so that'll be interesting to see what comes out there. At the end of the day, it's Barcelona. Probably nothing will happen. They'll still exist. They'll still be one of the biggest teams in Europe.
Wow.
And at the end of the day, Bartomeu's gone, so
we'll see,
it's not like it's...
We'll see what happens in the summer with Messi.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Obviously, Messi is out of contract, so that will be interesting to see if he does decide to stay, if he goes. I was going to say, where does he go? But
PSG,
they say he's not going to stay. So there's 2 options of where he can go, which is PSG and Man City. But I don't think he will go. I think it's PSG.
I think he'll go City.
Personally,
Aguero, Guardiola. You never know.
I don't think they will.
We'll see. We'll see. I don't want him to.
When was
Do I care?
when was the last time Man City bought an aging player?
I actually don't know.
They don't buy old players.
No.
They buy younger
That's
players.
fair. But it's messy.
Probably
It's messy. They'd make it. Who's gonna care? Who's gonna give a shit? Even if he stays there and takes on a coaching role or something, they'd snap him up. It's messy. We can't make the aging
I still
argument.
think he'll go PSG.
He's better
I
than.
think he'll go PSG.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing. It'll be one of the two. I think if he goes anywhere else, it'll either be to America or Argentina. Like he'll just go back home.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But is he ready to give up the fat paycheck yet? I don't think he is.
He's got to be like minted. There's got to be so much, and I don't know if.
And also he
his
probably still
doesn't
wants
matter.
to win the World Cup, so he probably wants to stay in Europe to make sure he's still at the top of his game for that. Because obviously it's the one thing he hasn't won that he can. So that's what I think anyway. So I don't think he'll go back. I don't think he'll go to America just yet. Maybe a couple more years, but
I can see it in a few years if he decides to go into management, which I don't know if he will. I don't know if he'll be bothered. I can see him taking over the Argentinian national team and just trying to get them to a World Cup. But
yeah,
we'll see. It's a few years off anyway.
Yeah. Moving. What do you want to do first? Do you want me to a sport we haven't covered before, or
let's mix it up? Yeah, let's do the sport we haven't covered.
Okay. As you do you know, Jimmy, that we are now under 2 weeks away from Cheltenham Festival?
I do now.
You do now.
I do now.
Yeah, we're under 2 weeks away from Cheltenham Festival, and basically over the weekend, absolute chaos in the horse racing world.
I know the
Elliott,
story.
Who is one of the one of the top Irish trainers. It's him and Willie Mullins at the top there. He's been banned from racing horses in England currently, and he's under investigation from the Irish Horse Racing Board. Basically, so over the weekend, a photo was circulating on Twitter of Mr. Elliott sat on a dead horse on the phone and what looked like showing the peace sign.
Oh, what did he think was going to happen with that?
Well, this is where it gets more interesting. So obviously, just a blanket statement. What the fuck was he doing? He's someone with this license to look after and train horses and everything like that, and he's just gone completely against that. Like, it's ridiculous why he's ever done it. And for a main part, horse racing is a sport that constantly needs to justify why it's a thing, because there are so many people out there that try and take it down to say that they shouldn't do it. It's harmful to the horses, everything like that. As someone who's interested in it, I don't believe that's the case. If you talk to any owner or trainer from horse racing, they would always say that they absolutely love their horses. That they're the most cared for thing in the world. That a lot of these are treated better than humans in a lot of cases. But obviously, this hasn't helped that at all. Basically, when it first came out, there's a lot of people going, "Oh, it's fake," zooming massively into the picture to go, "Oh, you can tell by these pictures it's Photoshop," blah blah. Then Gordon Elliott came out with a statement just saying he's aware of it and he's not going to make a comment. As soon as he said that, it's then a case of, okay, this looks bad, because if it wasn't real, surely he'd come out straight away and go, it's not real. But he didn't. Then the Irish the IHRB came out and said we're investigating it, and then I think it was a day later, Gordon came out and said that it was true. Would you like to know the reasoning of this photo, Jimmy?
Go right ahead.
Okay, so the horse question, I don't know the actual horse. There was a name going around of what the horse was. I don't actually know which one it is. I'm not that interested to know what it is, to be honest. It's kind of irrelevant to me.
It wouldn't have mattered what horse it was.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter what horse it is. It's wrong that he did it.
Mm-hmm.
So it had a heart attack while out in the gallops, and obviously died. Then, so his reasoning is that while they were going to sort this out, he got a phone call as he was stood over the horse, and just without thinking, sat down while he was on the phone. I mean, I know obviously you can get distracted when
I'm just sitting down.
I'll get onto that. We'll tackle it one day at a time. But first of all, I know you can get a bit distracted when you're on the phone and things.
Yeah.
But I don't think I'd ever get distracted enough by a phone call to then sit on a dead animal. Look, surely there's something there's a dead animal underneath me. I'm not going to sit down.
I think people would have respected him more if he just said, I made a mistake, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Then, apparently, he was gesturing to somebody who worked in his stable to hold on a minute because he was on the phone. I have never known anyone in my life to make that symbol for hold on. He could have gone the only thing I could think of is that it was going give me 2 minutes.
Yeah, 2 minutes. I can see that.
But for me, I'd instantly go, give me a minute. I'm not trying to defend him. He's wrong. But the reason why this is so big is that because we are 2 weeks away from Cheltenham, we find out tomorrow what the findings of the IHRB investigation is. But currently, as it stands, Gordon Elliott cannot run horses in England. He has been banned from running them here until the investigation is over. Obviously, it means we will get a decision before Cheltenham. But what this has done is meant that a lot of owners have taken their horses elsewhere.
Yeah.
So the biggest one being Cheveley Park. They've basically split their horses between Willie Mullins and Henry de Bromhead. So Willie Mullins is the other major trainer in Ireland. Henry de Bromhead is probably then your next biggest, and has had multiple winners last year at Cheltenham. The biggest one to come out of this is that Envoy Allen, who's an unbeaten horse from Cheveley Park. He's gone to Henry de Bromhead. So he currently has 2 unbeaten, I believe. I'm going to have to check this. Well, I believe that he now has basically 2 unbeaten horses in his stables. I believe Honeysuckle is as well. I'm just going to check. But they're so last year there were the 2 big upcoming ones in hurdling. 10 wins from 10. So he has 2 up and coming unbeaten horses, which is huge and to be taken away. And a lot of other owners have done the same thing. They've switched to other trainers. But one notable exception is Mr. Michael O'Leary, the CEO of Ryanair, who also owns Gigginstown. Anybody that has seen horse racing, basically, if you've ever seen a jockey in mainly maroon and with a white star on the jersey, that's who it's owned by. He's backed Gordon Elliott and said he's sticking with him, which, let's be honest, no one's surprised at, because the man has no morals, to put it lightly.
I've just looked up the picture again. He's fully straddling this horse and smiling. It is. He's like.
Oh yeah. And especially that there's a joke caption on the picture as well, from
new
from
work
Snapchat.
rider this morning.
Yeah, So it's not just a him problem. That's obviously somebody in his stable as well that also thinks this is funny. So yeah, it'd be quite interesting to see how it plays out. What if he gets anything from it? If he does receive a ban, yeah, we won't know until tomorrow, today as it comes out.
Yeah.
So I may make a comment on it next week on what we find out. A lot of people have been saying, well, there's a huge mix of response from people, all the way from there's nothing wrong with this, all the way to he should be banned forever from the sport.
Who the fuck said
It's a
there's
huge
nothing wrong?
mix.
Imagine your gran fucking dying of a heart attack and you fucking straddling her while on the phone going like that.
Yeah,
It's the same thing. Just because it's an animal
or,
doesn't mean it should be treated differently.
or the analogy that was best for me is that so say your pet, you've taken it to the vet, and while he's at the vet, it's died, and you've then seen on Facebook that vet is then posing with your dead animal with a picture. You wouldn't want that. You wouldn't go back to the vets.
The vet gets on top of your dead dog
Yeah,
on the table.
You wouldn't want that vet to still be in business. So yeah, it's wrong.
People are.
Yeah, it's. But yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. Obviously, he'll still have, by the looks of it, he'll still have horses to train because Jigginstown have a lot of horses. They own many horses. So it may just be that he gets a short-term ban and comes back. But it does mean that Willie Mullins currently has free reign of dominance in Ireland because he's by far the top trainer. He's just going to have his stables bolstered even more by some of the owners who are going to switch to him. And he's probably going to make Henry de Bromhead even stronger as well because he's getting some great horses like Envoy Allen. So he'll probably push up, and you'll see more winnings from him. And it might actually give the English a bit of a chance this year at Cheltenham because struggle a bit over the past few years. Quite a bit of Irish dominance. So, but yeah, interesting to see what comes of it if he gets any sort of ban. We'll see. And while I'm talking about these people and horse racing in general, the lovely Michael O'Leary he's withdrawn Tiger Roll from this year's Grand National. Basically, he's crying about being given too much weight. He threatened it last year before the 2021. It never went ahead. So technically, Tiger Roll is the reigning champion of the Grand National. So it's interesting that it was taken out. It means he was on course to possibly win it 3 times in a row. Obviously, that's now not going to happen. Yeah, so the reigning champion will not be at the Grand National this year because Michael O'Leary's cried about it.
Well, I guess we move on from horse racing to car racing, Sean.
Lovely. Love to say it. Right, this is where I need to Google stuff because it's actually been interesting this week for F1 car reveals.
You want me to look at the liveries?
Yes, yeah. I'm going to tell you which car to do at a time because I want your opinion on them each time because I think these are some of the best we've had so far.
I think I have a website up that has all of them, so I'll click on whichever one.
Okay, so the first one for this week was reigning champions Mercedes. They came out with their car. For those that don't know, since they came back into the sport, they used the silver livery. They are the Silver Arrows. Last year, they adopted a black livery to show support for the Black Lives Matter movement. This year, they've decided to stick with the black, but they have brought an aspect of the silver back into the car.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this bit of silver, it's weird. It's at the back of the car. It's a little section that's blended a bit in. But the weirdest part is that in that section, there are many, many AMG logos. And I wasn't going to count how many there were. And it's made me... I'm not sure
11,
what I think.
But there could be more.
Yeah, I'm not sure what I think of this design because of it.
Right, ignoring that, I think the car looks great. I love the blue and the black, the lighter blue, black, the blue trimming around the car, but the silver is a bit.
They've always had that like blue with the silver. Say Toto Wolff did turn and say they wanted to obviously bring the silver back in because it is their color, but they also wanted to keep this black livery they've brought up because of it. which is fair enough. But yeah, why they've decided to stick so many AMG logos, I don't know. It's one of those where I think from a distance it looks quite good, that section, because the AMG logos kind of
blend in,
help with the gradient from silver to black.
Yeah,
But when you actually see it close up, you just see the words and
AMG,
it looks a bit shit.
AMG.
Yeah, it was quite funny though, because while other teams are like quite secretive about their cars, or like they don't really say that, or want to give away what they've like spent their tokens on, Mercedes bitch came out and went, "We're actively hiding stuff on our car." So part of the floor at the near the back, that's been altered for this season. They've changed the rules, and basically Mercedes have covered that bit of their car up for the launch, and actually said, "We've covered this part. We don't want anyone to see." And they've also made a nice little comment. There's around the engine on the engine cover, there's a nice bulge now on either side where they've like, that's because of new engine improvements, and just like came out, and it was quite funny. So who was that? Alpine was next. So I think of this. This is one of my favourites personally. I think it's great.
Blue and red. Yeah.
Sorry.
The blue and red one.
Nope. It should be blue.
Is it blue? Well, it's got red at the back.
Yeah, it's got the French flag at the back.
Yeah. Okay. I'm sure it's that.
Yeah.
It's just the picture I'm seeing. You see most of the front, but the back is a bit red.
I mean, you can look at more, but yes. So, yeah.
Right, it's just the website. If I scroll down, there's a tweet.
Personally, this is one of my favourites. It's like Alpine were Renault last year. They've switched names just to basically be in line with Renault's sports section. They've changed from black and yellow, which is a bit sad. I did like the fact that there was some like a different colour on the grid, because now it does mean that we have Red Bull, AlphaTauri, Alpine. They're all blue, and Williams will probably have blue on theirs as well. So there's a lot of blue on the grid, which is a bit sad. But for me personally, this car looks great. I love the look of it. Their launch stream was awful though. Like generally, this is better quality than what they did. It was so laggy, I couldn't watch it. The one after that was Aston Martin, who have returned to Formula One this year. This was probably the best reveal there's ever been.
It's typical Aston Martin green. That's very Aston Martin.
So it's a racing green. They did have Dave start it off with. He introduced it and had this kind of like a little poem sort of thing about Aston Martin. They got Tom Brady involved. They got Daniel Craig involved. It was amazing. But the only thing I is point out is that it does very much look. So you'll notice on there, there's these pink streaks on the car.
Yeah.
Basically, the team before was Racing Point, and it was an all pink car because of the title sponsor BWT. They originally had left and weren't going to partner with Aston Martin, and then the very last minute came back, and all of Aston Martin's merch has this dark green with a lime green. So a lot of people think that those lines were originally supposed to be a lime green, which if you Google it, you'll be able to see like versions of it, which looks amazing as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, they've now obviously added this pink for BWT coming back. But I think it's again a really nice looking car.
It's good to see. It's good to see Aston Martin coming back though.
Oh yeah, so it's been 62 years I think it was since they've been on the grid, and obviously for me I quite like it because it's a different color on the grid as well.
Yeah.
That it's just, especially because a lot of teams seem to be having the same cut or moving towards the same colors, to have something different is quite nice. The last one is the best. It's the best because it's funny. If you look at the Haas car,
I knew it was gonna be.
This is fantastic.
I hate it.
Okay. I don't hate the actual design. Okay. The actual design of the car I think looks nice. I think it would look better if the Haas was in black, stood out a bit more. The problem is is that it's very clearly the Russian flag.
Oh yeah, no, that
It's
is one
so
thing I
obvious it's
spotted
the Russian
immediately,
flag, which is
especially on
it's
the
for their
front.
title sponsors. Okay, yeah. So it's, the front wing definitely is.
Yeah.
Obviously, it then looks like it the back of the car as well. And basically, that's for their title sponsor, Eurocolai. For anyone that doesn't know, this is the company that's majority owned by Nikita Mazepin's dad, who is obviously the very controversial driver. If you haven't watched that podcast, we
Just
talk
don't
about it on
explain
there
anything. Just go
for this
watch our old
season.
podcasts on Haas.
Yeah,
It's easy to find. There
and it
aren't
was
many
one of those.
videos.
It got released this. Yeah, it got released this morning, and you just have to sit there and laugh because something that wasn't mentioned in that video because it only came out a few weeks ago is that because of a previous doping scandal, Russian athletes aren't allowed to participate under the Russian flag. So instead of participating under the Russian flag, he's driving in it. And what makes it even funnier is that Haas is an American. It's an American team, and it's an American team that now has the Russian flag plastered all over it.
This is this is like the
you couldn't make this up.
2016. It's like the 2016 election, but in Formula One racing.
So you literally couldn't make it up. What other situation would you see like this massive American company put Russian flags all over their product? It's ridiculous.
I just don't like the car. I really don't.
So
I
think
I like white, but it just doesn't fit. It looks like I don't even know how to describe it. I've had old white trainers that have had like a red and blue sort of trim around them that have looked better than that.
They look like the Reebok trainers your dad would wear in like the late 2000s.
They are proper Reeboks as well. Oh, that is like I wouldn't say it's terrible, but compare it to the other cars we've just seen, it's by far the worst. By far.
Oh, well, with different colours, it looks really nice. I think it just doesn't help because obviously, because of the controversy with the driver and the car and everything, you have this negative connotation with it. It's just so funny how there's the whole thing of it's an American team, but it's got a Russian flag on it and the history between those two countries. But all over Twitter, there's been people who've been replacing the colours. Like there's been a lot of jokes that people have replaced the colours with the German flag because Mick Schumacher is the other driver for the team, and going, oh, they forgot about Mick's. And those versions look amazing. I must say that there's so it's all black with the replace the colours with the Germany flag. It looks amazing.
They should do that for each
the physical design itself.
Racer, like have their like the colours of their national flag somewhere on there. Yeah, I know it'd be like an expensive endeavor, but like.
But the only problem is that there's a rule in Formula One that your cars have to be identical. That did happen previously. Yeah, I didn't know until a few weeks ago. It was, I believe, it was in the 90s. Basically, they had a car launch. I can't remember what team it was, but they came out with two separate cars, and it was basically because they had two different tobacco sponsors, so they made a car for each of them. And then the FIA came out and went, "No, your cars have to be the same," which led to an amazing car design where they basically fused the two designs and had half and half cars, and down the middle was a zip. It was actually painted on a zip. It was amazing, and people saying they really missed out on an opportunity to do that. But yeah, so it's just quite funny. It's also quite telling the lack of sponsors on this car as well. That you can see that Haas clearly are having issues with all the controversy.
Well, because they haven't got AMG plastered on.
But it does also just. It looks like it's hinting more towards that Haas won't exist anymore by the end of the season. They've already came out and said that they won't be actively working on their car throughout this season because they can't afford to. So whatever they turn up to at the start of the season, that's the car they've got for the whole season, which basically means that they're going to finish last because every other team will still update the car as they go along. And just because of the dominance of the colours and the design and the size of your alkali on it, it does look like that it could be a case that they just buy the team out by the end of the year to save them because they don't have any money.
I like how the Haas logo is one of the smallest logos on the actual car. On the front.
I mean, it's not because it's plastered all on the side. But on
no, but I'm saying on the front.
Oh, you just seen the front?
Yeah, I can't see the. Yeah. But like the Eurocali part on the side is larger than anything else on the front or that side of the car.
Yeah. So it was just one that I saw it this morning and just couldn't help but laugh because it's just so awkward and funny.
Well, that's your Formula One fix for this week. We shall move on because we are 55 minutes in and we still got gaming and Pokemon. So I will do. There is a brand new Aliens game coming out. Aliens Fireteam. Not much to say. There's a trailer out. Go catch it. Let's hope it's better than Aliens Colonial Marines was because oh my god, that was a nightmare back in the day. Epic Games have acquired the Fall Guys developers, Mediatonic. So who knows what's going to happen with that? Maybe there might be some Fortnite integration. I hope not Fallout. I will be upset. Fortnite integration with it. There might be something else to do there. Who knows? But Epic Games now owns Mediatonic. Today it was announced. Today is Thursday. It will be Friday from recording. But if you haven't seen the new Smash Brothers characters, Pyra and Mithra, or they're just one character, I don't exactly know. They are available now, I believe. I think that was just announced. If I'm wrong, I am sorry, but I did see it, so I believe I am right. And my final gaming one, I'm speeding through these, but the PlayStation Plus games have been announced for next month, and they will be Final Fantasy VII Remake, which was just announced to be receiving an upgrade on PS5, which that's something else we should talk about. The PlayStation Access event that happened was terrible, but the biggest thing, to come out of that was Final Fantasy VII is getting an upgrade for PS5 players, and will also be receiving an extra chapter alongside it. But you have to pay for that extra chapter, so it's like a bit of DLC. Whatever. If it's worth it, it's worth it. You'll buy it. But Final Fantasy VII Remake will be free for gold users on PS4. However, and here's the caveat with that, Sean. If you own the Final Fantasy VII Remake from gold, like when it comes out, you will not get it as a PS5 upgrade. It will not be eligible for a PS5 upgrade. You have to buy it to get that upgrade. So unlucky. Not that you won't be that bothered if you don't care about the extra chapter or whatever. It will get slight gameplay not improvements, but frame rate will look better, the game will look better as a whole, but I wouldn't be too upset about it. If you really want the extra chapter, buy the actual game. But yeah, that will be on there. That is the big game. The rest are, there's Remnant from the Ashes, sorry, my apology. And this is a third-person PS4 shooter that pits you against monstrous beasts from other dimensions. There is a PS5 title that will be released. They are actually doing PS5 titles like they did with Bugsnax. So this month will be a game called Maquette, I believe, and it will be a puzzle game. There's not much else I know about it. It draws upon the paintings of MC Escher and challenges players to think three-dimensionally to solve puzzles, pretty much. And the last one is Farpoint, which is a first-person shooter for PSVR. So that's a free PSVR game if you have VR. And yeah, that's it. There will be a few free things. The games are still free currently. And what was this? Destruction All Stars will be available until April 5th, which was last month's one of last month's free games. So that's still available and will be for another month. And Ratchet and Clank is also available this month ahead of the sequel's release. So yeah, that's all my gaming news. I don't know if you have any at all. Did you have any?
No, apart from I need to prepare for the next one. I've got a nice gimmick for you. If you're prepared.
Okay.
I like how I made sure not to say anything like this. Give me a sec.
I wasn't aware of this. I have to talk to people now. What is he? He's taking his clothes off. Oh my god. What's happening? What's We're talking about Pokemon. You're taking your clothes off for kids.
I have no idea what you just said, but
you're taking your clothes.
There
okay.
You go. There's the gimmick. We get into Pokemon mode.
I was like, why is he taking his clothes off for kids? This is a kid game.
No, there's a reason. It's annoying that my camera's not lowered down in the first, not constantly in there. But yeah,
we can see you
here, baby.
Yeah, we are getting Gen 4 remakes. We did speculate on what we were getting. We also had a bit of a cheeky. We saw the actual leaks beforehand.
2 hours before.
Yeah. 2 hours before. So yeah, we kind of knew what we were getting. Not when we did the podcast last week. I meant 2 hours before the actual event. But yeah, we'll talk about it here. I just need to get in the mindset to try and remember exactly what we saw, because we did.
Obviously, with the present itself, obviously we had the 5 minutes eating into 20 minutes of them basically telling us what they've brought out over the last 25 years.
Yeah.
Then they showed us a bit of Pokemon Snap, some more gameplay. I did actually say we'd probably see that, so get in there. I'm great at predicting things.
I mean, I am excited for Snap, but I don't care to see any more footage.
It looks good, but obviously, it's not what we wanted to see.
Mm-hmm.
We were told about different events in games. I was a bit disappointed about that, to be honest. It was all kind of things.
I predicted Cafe Mix. I predicted something for Cafe Mix.
Good old Cafe Mix. But yeah, I was expecting there to be like they meant to announce a new event, but there were all things that were currently going on, like the Pikachu Gigantamax raid event had already started like the day before or something. I was just expecting a bit more from that, and then we got what we wanted. It cut to a video. We kind of got
but we got what we wanted, but not quite in the way we
there's
wanted.
A reason why we got it the way that
yeah, because they half-assed it and gave it to a different set of developers. Yeah, but I'm not mad.
Because of the other game. That's the only reason why.
Other developers.
Anyway,
it's Nintendo. It's Game Freak. They could hire like so many people to add to their team, work on their engine. It's not hard. But anyway, it's not like Pokemon is on like some really hard engine that they needed to use. But we move. It's fine.
So anyway, they announced Diamond and Pearl remakes as Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. They're a chibi style art style, which I don't mind. Everything that they've said about it is that it's a faithful remake, something like that, which basically means kind of like a copy paste job.
Well, like that's what I mean. It feels a bit lazy, like.
It does.
With every remake, there's been like something of the next gen, like it's taken us into the next gen. This one feels like a regression on that, which is why I don't like it as much. I like that we're finally getting Sinnoh remakes, but the chibi style is kind of. I feel like Nintendo are going to that more and more now because they just remade Link's Awakening like not that long ago, and they did that in a chibi style as well. And it was kind of a mixed reception. Like the game's great, but the style wasn't exactly what people wanted. And I'm
But
kind of in the camp here with that.
with these remakes, though, I think there's a genuine reason for it, which is it would be very difficult for them to do a new style of these games without completely changing the game, which is what they have done. Because if they go the Sword and Shield route,
yeah,
they've got to implement something like a wild area. There's not enough room on the map for it because the map wasn't made with that in mind.
I don't think they need to. They just need to like think of how big the routes feel on Sword and Shield, but how small they actually are. The first route, for example, is literally one long stretch of road with a little bit of grass to the side, which goes round, which makes it feel bigger. With Sinnoh, like the routes they actually feel quite big. A lot of the older games, the routes are actually quite big. So they could easily fill that space with just longer routes or just the routes that it doesn't have to be open. They could expand the routes a little bit or change the routes, but just keep the fundamentals of this is the story, we're going to stick to this story, we're going to add our own little bits in there, whatever. The cities are going to be similar layouts but in 3D. Yeah, I feel like even with Sword and Shield, the Pokemon Company have been lazy. Game Freak have been lazy. They were called out on it for many things. They could have done many, like the towns in Sword and Shield are terrible. Like they're nothing on older games, and I feel like this is another example of laziness. But I'm not against it. We wanted Sinnoh remakes. This isn't what I wanted from the Sinnoh remakes, but I don't hate it. It's just I wish it was that another little step above. I wish they'd taken the initiative because they've had a bit of time. Let's not act like their whole development team like would have been working on Sword and Shield. It's Nintendo, it's Game Freak. They hardly have like 10 people working on the game. Other developers will make a massive 10-year RPG. This has taken this long, but they'll be working on another game at the same time. And sometimes it won't work out. CD Projekt Red with Cyberpunk, for example. But you've got a Pokemon isn't a, you know, graphically next level RPG that's going to take the world by storm. It's Pokemon. It's the same thing a lot of the time. Sometimes they switch it up. This time they did wild areas, but I feel like they could have done more with this. And I get they want to be faithful, which is fine. I think they should be faithful to an extent, but there's a difference between being faithful and being lazy. And I don't know if we quite
I don't
got that.
think so. I don't think they're going to be as lazy as you think they are.
Well, it's yet to be
Because
seen. It's yet to
obviously,
be seen. I don't want to criticize them too much because we've barely seen anything. But yeah,
yeah. And what I was going to get onto is although there's only been little hints, I do believe they're going to do a similar sort of thing to Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, where it will bring in parts of Platinum. So there's two main things in the trailer. They're only small things, so if it's not something you're really hot on of details of the games you probably would miss, is that there was a battle animation for Porygon Z. That was a Pokemon that was only available. They brought it in Platinum. It wasn't in the original games, so it looks like we'll probably have the Sinnoh Pokedex from Platinum. The only other thing is then even smaller is that when they did the shot of Floroma Town, there is an NPC down the bottom left-hand corner. She only appears in Platinum. She wasn't in the original games, and she was someone you spoke to regarding the Shaman event. It was partly to do with that.
I think they'll do like a Shaman Giratina event or something like that. Since
I think
they're not doing Arceus after the other reveal. I don't think.
I don't know. They still could.
They could,
but I think they will do some sort of like Delta episode esque sort of thing where it's probably Giratina. It would make most sense to be Giratina. And then they also do these original events like the Darkrai, the Cresselia, the Shaman ones. They'll probably also be a thing. So I think it will be more Diamond and Pearl separate games, but with the platinum elements in.
Yeah.
Personally, I don't think there'll be much more added than that. And yeah, I'm not. I don't think I'm as disappointed as you are. But mainly if they hadn't then released Legends,
what came after,
then I definitely would be like, what have you been doing? But I
although
think
I did
because they've done Legends as
criticize
well,
this as well, didn't I? When we watched
yeah,
it, but I think
I'm
that
gonna
was
let
just
them off.
YouTube. I think that was just YouTube, or the fact that it's still a year away from being released. But yeah, we'll get into Pokemon Legends.
We'll move on to it. Yeah,
Yeah, Pokemon Legends Arceus,
Arceus.
or Arceus, however you want to say it, is a open world Breath of the Wild style Pokemon game. Something that people have been asking for years. I know I've always wanted an open world Pokemon game, and this is kind of it. We don't know much about it other than the fact that you can fight in the wild without like having to go into an actual battle menu, and you can just catch Pokemon by walking around. And yeah, we don't know anything about story really, other than it's set in the Sinnoh
Well,
region
we
in the
know.
past.
Yeah, we know that it's Sinnoh before Sinnoh was a thing.
Yeah, we know the starters, which are Oshawott, uh, Cyndaquil.
Cyndaquil
What
and
was the other
Rowlet.
one? Rowlet, yeah.
Rowlet. Interesting
So
thing
no
about those
Sinnoh
is,
starters.
but I have seen that apparently there is actually a reason behind these starters, which is apparently that all of their final evolutions have a link to classic Japanese samurais,
Yeah,
which then would tie into
that's all.
the old story, like the fact that it's an older story.
Because it's like
So
feudal Sinnoh, which is
yeah,
most
so there
of
does seem to be reasoning behind.
the first two and Sinnoh are all based off areas in Japan in the Pokemon games, and Hoenn meant to be like Hawaii and uh, whatever.
Hoenn not Hawaii.
I thought it was meant to be Hawaii, was it not? Oh no, that's
Sun and Moon's
Sun and
Hawaii.
Moon. I
Alola.
forgot Alola. That's the one. Hoenn is also meant to be part of Japan, I think, but they never really explain what. It's just some random islands. But yeah, like it makes sense for them to go to the feudal route because that's based in their culture. It's based in Japanese culture, which is the fundamental starting point of Pokemon. Kanto is an actual region, so yeah, like it would be interesting. I'm glad that it's not like what they do with the spin-offs where it's just some random region that we'll never visit again. It's actually a spin-off from a mainline game. Like we're going to the Sinnoh region, we're going to go to Mount Coronet.
You say that it's not actually a spin-off.
No, so it's actually a mainline game. Yeah.
So Pokemon have described it as a mainline game, which I was going to bring up to talk to you or to mention that it'll be interesting to see because of this game what then the future of Pokemon looks like, on how there is this going to be the sort of style they're going to always focus on, or what I think they might do is they may go through this will effectively turn into the remakes, I think, because of how they've named it. Because they've named it Legends Arceus, I feel like they'll go back and do other mythicals / legendaries.
I was going to say the exact same thing. Yeah.
So I can see them doing maybe a Celebi one, maybe a Mew one, something like that.
Mew would be the one. Mew would be the one I'd see. And I'd also say that they would, if they were going to do one for the like original, like if they were going to go back to Kanto, they'd do Kanto and Johto. Like there'd be no point in splitting them up. I think they'd do it as one big open game because Kanto and Johto are really small. You put them together, they're one big map.
And in the Heart Gold Soul Silver, they were rejoined anyway. Yeah. You went back to Kanto after Johto, so they could probably do something similar like that. But then I think alongside of that, they'll probably stick with their classic style games along the side, because looking at it at the moment, seems to be this big gap of what's happening with competitive Pokemon. it looks like they'll probably stick with Sword and Shield for now.
Yeah.
Because I can't see them going to the Diamond and Pearl remakes for it, because you'd be very limited on the Pokemon you can use. Obviously, none of the new Pokemon would then be available, which I don't know why they go backwards on that, because you won't be able to bring them over to the game, because that's mainly going on the fact that they're faithful remakes, that it looks like you're probably just going to get this in a Pokedex.
Which is fine.
And then I can't see them really going forward with competitive in Legends Arceus, because it's
I've
such
just
a.
realised something.
They could branch off
Yeah.
and do a different style, but I think the main VGC will stay in Sword and Shield for now, and then they'll go back to a traditional style game going forward to keep that going forward, and then also have these open world games run alongside.
I've had a thought that Regigigas, I think that's probably going to be the Delta episode. Him and Giratina.
Could be, yeah.
I feel they'll do so because they had Deoxys and Rayquaza. I think those two make more sense.
Yeah.
Shaman,
Yeah.
maybe, but Shaman probably would just be like one of those.
It'd be
like
an event.
An event, yeah.
They'd probably bring them out as events during the release of it.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe like half a year later. It could even be, because we now know that they do DLC, they may then bring out a DLC later on.
I'd hate
that
if
could
they
be what
did
the Delta
DLC
episode
for the
is,
remakes.
Delta kind of thing. But now it's one of the things that now that they've done it, there's no reason why they won't do it again.
Yeah.
And obviously, it's a way for them to get more money. They get you to buy both games. They also get you to buy a DLC, because you want the other Pokemon, especially if a lot of people. Because at the end of the day, these games are probably more tailored for younger kids who never played the originals to go back. So they probably don't have a lot of these Pokemon because they were never put into Sword and Shield.
Yeah.
So they'll probably make money easier that way if they bring a DLC out for this extra episode on the end, where you have your legendaries and your mythicals and some more for maybe the national dex sort of thing, where you add on top of it. That's the only other way they could go with competitive, to be fair, is if they bring DLC out that then brings other Pokemon in. But
they won't do it. And I don't think it personally makes sense to just, because that game's coming out this year. Sword and Shield hasn't been out very long, so why get rid of Sword and Shield?
By the time it comes out, it'll be 2 years.
That's nothing for Pokemon, though.
It's a typical cycle.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like,
because obviously, think other remakes
no
competitive did move to those games. So,
but personally,
competitive moved to Oras.
Yeah, but it was a bit. That's what I'm saying. It's not a traditional, like, Oras reinvented. Like, it moved on to the next generation, kind of. It did the Sun and Moon kind of thing. With that, we're not getting that for this. It's not. The Sinnoh remakes aren't going to Sword and Shield levels. They're going to their own thing, which is divisive, obviously. But at the end of the day, I'm happy we're getting Sinnoh remakes. I'll be happy. I would have been happy if they just thrown all of the old games or something on the Switch, but I'm happy we're getting something. I am happy we're getting this Pokemon Legends. I'm really interested to see where they take it. It could easily be something that revolutionizes Pokemon for the next generation of people, like something like Breath of the Wild did, which Breath of the Wild is a masterpiece of a game, and people that say it isn't are ridiculous. But it is. It was ambitious. It was something that had never been done in a Legend of Zelda game before, or in any real game. Like, there's not a game, or there wasn't a game like Legend of Zelda. Not exactly. There are open world games. There are games that maybe do things that are similar, but Legend of Zelda was it. The way it evolved, there was nothing quite like it at that time. And yeah, it's very interesting to see what Nintendo do with Pokemon in a similar vein, because there's so much potential there, and I really hope they don't fuck it up. Yeah.
So from the trailer we saw, there was obviously still a lot of work to go into the game. We're basically a year out from getting it, so a lot will probably change, probably graphics wise.
Yeah.
Especially as I don't know if you saw this, the new Switch has been leaked. They've not officially announced it, but it has been leaked.
Hasn't it been leaked
The
6 times in the past 5 years or something like that? there was
yes,
there was
but
a YouTuber or something that every single Nintendo Direct he said, "Oh, they're not going to do this because they're going to bring out the Switch Plus or the Switch Pro," and every year it doesn't happen or something.
but yeah, this seems to be more legitimate this time. That basically it's going to be updated from I think it's going from a 6.2-inch screen to a 7-inch screen.
Mm-hmm.
Pointless for me. The big thing mainly comes from that they're updating it so when you dock the Switch, it will be capable of running 4K games.
Yeah, nice.
So I think there will be a big change in what we've seen as they're able to update this game ready for that new console. If it is real, if it does come out, that it could be like a big tagline game for it, which could be another reason why maybe they're a bit behind on Breath of the Wild 2 because they decided to hold out for this new console. So it's got more power.
I don't know if it was that they were behind. I think it was more so that they're just taking their time with it. Breath of the Wild took years, I think, as well. Although, what was it? A Link Between Worlds came out a few years before, but it was a 3DS game. It's a great game, but it was nowhere near the level, and they could have easily had another team, which is what I was trying to say. Like, they could have easily had another team work on it while they were doing Breath of the Wild. But, like, you know, I I was okay with the reveals that we got. I really liked the last reveal more than anything, and I'm excited to see what they do. I don't know
Yeah,
if
so
there's much
interesting to
else.
see what they do going forward, that and how it will be received as well. Because for so long, so many people wanted an open world game. It'll be interesting to see what people then think of the open world game
Yeah.
and how they actually do it, of whether it's how people envisioned and what they wanted.
Yeah.
But obviously, we've got to wait a year for that. So,
well, we're gonna cut
that's
the
the depressing
podcast.
thing about these.
We're gonna cut the podcast
That
off
you have to
here
wait so long.
because we're over our. This is the
our
longest
longest one ever.
podcast we've ever done. Yes, so, I don't know how, but it is.
Hopefully, it hasn't seemed long. Hopefully, for anyone listening, it hasn't seemed very long.
It hasn't
That's
seemed
what we
long
want.
for me personally, but I guess we're
No
more involved. Yeah. Um,
more news.
enjoy watching WandaVision's last episode. That may be our main topic next podcast. We'll see if
So
there's
it
any
might be
big
main one.
news.
We'll talk about it anyway.
We will talk about
Then
it
talk
anyway.
about the whole series as a whole.
Yeah.
So
I've just
ready for
caught
that?
up today. I just decided to watch today, so I'm excited for the next episode. Well, the last episode tomorrow or today from the podcast release. Yeah, enjoy. Keep a lookout for any new tweets we make. Follow us on Twitter. Subscribe to our YouTube. For any website followers, there will be, and this is something, Sean, there will be a new Doctor Who review
Breaking
out.
news.
There will be a new Doctor Who Blu-ray review out within the next few weeks. I don't know. They get fucking views, Sean. They do bits. They do
Maybe
more
we should
than
talk
wrestling.
about Doctor Who on the podcast.
We should. But yeah, if anyone does catch that, there will be a new review from our resident writer H. So yeah, keep a lookout, and we'll see you next week.